It's not enough now that they call us garbage, but they have to insult our women too. Good morning, Kuhner country. Oh boy. Oh, you want to talk about a disastrous final campaign pitch. So, we've got now 4 days left until November 5th. And to say that the wheels have come off the Kamala campaign is the understatement of the century. So, it's bad enough. I just want you to just sit back now, okay, and think about this. What is their final pitch to voters? Okay, this is their final campaign slogan and their final campaign message. According to Joe Biden, we're all garbage. And Kamala, and I'm going to get to this later in the show, really doesn't disavow that comment. That's what's so incredible. She gave this mealy-mouthed response. The media was giving her softball after softball, and she's going on, well, Joe clarified what he meant, and, and people are blowing this out of proportion, and of course you should never criticize anybody who they vote for. But she never comes out and says, I condemn it, I disavow it. No, Trump supporters are not garbage, full stop. I mean, how hard is that? She can't do it. She can't do it because, my friends, she clearly agrees with Joe Biden. Then you've got Kamala herself saying we're all Nazis, fascists, and racists. And now they go after women, Trump supporting women. And so yesterday on The View, Kamala Harris is one of her top campaign surrogates. Again, I want to stress this. This is not just some Joe Schmo left-wing loser billionaire who's just shooting his mouth off. No, 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 no. This is one of her top campaign surrogates. Essentially, he speaks for the Kamala campaign. Mark Cuban. And I got to say this. The man has always struck me as an idiot. Everything that comes out of his mouth, I laugh at. How this guy became a billionaire is absolutely beyond me. But whenever I hear him talk, and it's not just about politics, it's about anything, all I ask myself is, how the hell did you make a buck? Never mind $1 billion. Like, really? He's always struck me, pardon my French, he's always struck me as an absolute moron. An arrogant, entitled jerk. Really, the consummate liberal jerk. That's Mark Cuban. Well, yesterday, he was, you want to talk about being a liberal jerk, it was on steroids. Listen to what Mark Cuban said, of all places, on The View. I think it's like dumb meets dumber meets dumbest when it comes to The View. This is now Mark Cuban speaking on behalf of Kamala Harris. Roll cut 17, Mike.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women. Ever. It's just that simple.
And they go on about, and then Joy Behar says, oh, what about Stormy Daniels? Ha, 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 ha. And then Whoopi, right away is like, well, I think he means people on stage, people with him. Now, what he's clearly saying and clearly insinuating, and the backlash, I don't know if you've been following social media, the backlash, holy shamoly, it has been immense from Republican women, Trump-supporting women. I was trick-or-treating with the children yesterday with Grace, and Grace's younger sister, my sister-in-law Lori, flew in from Arizona. She's going to be with us for a week. And so Lori was here. So we're all, the 3 adults and the 2 kids and their friends. And Rocky, by the way, Rocky was dressed as a pumpkin. I got to say, Rocky looked adorable. There he is, and that orange vest of his, and he's barking, having a good time. We're going door to door, And I mentioned it to Grace and Lori, and they're like, she goes, you're kidding. You're exaggerating for effect. I go, here's the clip. And I play it on my iPhone. And this is what the two women said to me. I say girls affectionately. This is what the two girls said to me. They said, so let me get this straight now. We're not only garbage, but now we're dumb and weak and stupid? I said, yeah. Really? Yeah. You're weak and stupid on top of being garbage. And apparently you're not intelligent and you're not smart and you're not strong because you happen to support or vote for, both of them are obviously, Lori already did her early voting. She voted in Arizona. Her and her husband voted for Trump, obviously. And Grace and I are going to go on voting day, election day itself, and we're going to vote for Trump. And I go, so apparently you're weak and stupid if you vote for Donald Trump. And I mean, they were livid. And they're like, you want to talk about sexism. You want to talk about misogyny. You want to talk about disrespecting women. And just for the record, because to show you how idiotic this whole thing is, Melania Trump is not an intelligent, strong woman. This is a woman that speaks, 5-6 languages? Has a best-selling book? New York Times bestseller? I believe it's the number one best-selling book in the country for the last couple of weeks. Who, by the way, just for the record, not that I agree with her, I disagree with her on abortion, but in her book, she clearly states that she disagrees with her own husband on the issue of abortion. And Trump didn't say, hey, you're my wife. You're not supposed to contradict me. You're not supposed to have a different opinion. What did he say? Go ahead. Write the book. Say what you believe. We agree to disagree on this one issue. So he's confident with a strong, intelligent woman who has her own opinion and who doesn't agree with him on some issues. So how the hell does this mean now all of a sudden, I never see him with strong, intelligent women because he can't handle them? That's what he went on to say, that he's threatened by strong, intelligent women. And strong, intelligent women don't support a guy like him. Really? Okay. So what about Melania Trump, as I said? What about his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, who's running the RNC? What about his own daughter, Ivanka Trump, who he basically had said, run the company for me? Basically gave her the keys to the kingdom. No? That's not a strong, intelligent woman? What about his first wife, Ivana Trump, who, by the way, was an immensely successful businesswoman in her own right before she ever met Trump? You want to talk about strong and intelligent? Everybody said the one thing that defined Ivana Trump, Trump's first wife, was strong and intelligent and frankly ambitious, independent, forceful, and outspoken. Honestly, it reminds me of my own wife, which is the thing I find most appealing about her, most attractive about her. She's her own woman. I find that very attractive in a woman. I'm being honest with you. Okay? But no. Oh, we don't want to talk about the family? Okay. Here they come. Elise Stefanik came out last night, congresswoman from New York, saying, I am a strong, intelligent woman. This is insulting to me. Trump has supported me. I've been by his side. I give him advice. We formed a very powerful partnership together, me in Congress, him on the campaign trail. So what? I'm weak and stupid? Kellyanne Conway came out blasting him. Now, my problem with Kellyanne is more character, but she basically ran his 2016 campaign. What, she's now weak and stupid? Tulsi Gabbard, she's weak and stupid? I mean, I could go on. List after list after list. Hope Hicks, who I dealt with many, many times. She basically was Trump's right hand for I don't know how many years. I gotta say, one of the most competent, capable, intelligent, strong women I've ever dealt with. Hope Hicks is a force of nature. So what? Hope Hicks is stupid now? I mean, I could just go, again, it's example after example after example after example. And this is now what the Kamala Harris campaign has been reduced to? It's bad enough that you're smearing, libeling, and defaming every Trump supporter, but now you got to kick in some hardcore sexism and misogyny as well? Now, let me just say this, and then I want to open it up to the phone lines and start taking calls right after this segment. Next segment, right after the break. 617-266-6868 is the number. What this now shows clearly is their utter hatred and contempt for Trump supporters. It's all coming out. Whether it's Kamala now, you press her, we're Nazis, we're racists, we're fascists. Biden, we're garbage. Hillary, we're deplorables. Barack Obama, we're quote-unquote bitter clingers. Mark Cuban, our wives, our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, they're weak and stupid. This now shows once and for all their hatred for the opposition and their hatred for America. 620 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Let me just say one quick thing because the lines are full, so I want to go right to the phone lines. Look, it's water off a duck's back. It's Mark Cuban. It's Kamala Harris. It's Joe Biden. It's Barack Obama. It's Hillary Clinton. I have no respect for these people. I really don't. So there is a part of me that says, look, hey, call me whatever name you want. I really don't care. But I don't know what it is about this one. As I said on X last night, you're insulting my wife. This is why it's really touched a chord with a lot of people. You're insulting Sandy. We were talking about this pre-show meeting, and I go, Sandy, now, according to Kamala, you're weak and stupid. Like, this is your closing message? So, as Elise Stefanik put it, by the way, as J.D. Vance put it, Vance came out and said, he just insulted my wife. He just insulted over 250 million people in the United States. He just insulted Trump's wife. He just insulted Trump's daughter-in-law. He just insulted Trump's daughter. I mean, I don't know who's running this campaign, but I'm telling, they're a bunch of idiots. I've never seen a more moronic, inept, incompetent, insulting, offensive, frankly disgusting campaign in my entire life. I've never seen this. This is your pitch? So what, you have nothing to say on the economy? Nothing to say about inflation? Nothing to say about the border? Nothing to say about how you're going to bring peace in the Middle East or peace in Russia and Ukraine? So what is this now? It's a race to the bottom about who can out-insult who when it comes to their opponents or people who disagree with them? So let's just say, okay, just for the sake of argument, that they somehow managed to steal this, and that's the only way now they can win. Say that they steal this, and they eke it out. And, they win by a few thousand votes. Okay? Few thousand in Michigan, few thousand in Pennsylvania, few thousand in Nevada, and, poof, they get to 270. Okay? So a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there, and they somehow sneak across the finish line. What have you won? Seriously. How are you going to reunite this country? Look at how you campaigned. They campaigned on, we hate you. That's what they're saying. We hate you. And we think you're scum. Your women are scum. You're all scum. You're Nazi, weak, stupid pieces of garbage. That's your mandate? I've never, ever seen anything like this. Really. And notice now, it's all hate. And Trump's made that point. Now they're just campaigning on pure hatred and contempt. And maybe they know their base maybe better than we do. It's like, if we got to get our people out, and we got to get our people to go out and steal this thing. Cheat, 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 fraud, fraud, fraud. You know what? Ratchet up the hate porn. Call them every name in the book, and don't stop calling them those cheap slurs and insults. Because it seems to me that's the only strategy they now have. Now, they can go one more level. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. They could start calling us child molesters. And maybe having untoward relations with goats. Okay, sleeping with goats or pigs. That's a bestiality. That's pretty much it now. That's it. There's nothing else to say after that. So either we're all watch, by this weekend, when they look at more of these internal poll numbers, don't be surprised if you wake up Monday and suddenly you're a child molester and a pedophile, and, oh, by the way, you like to do it with a goat. This is your campaign. This is your final pitch to voters. So let me ask you: are they now openly mocking, vilifying, and insulting Republican women, and especially Trump-supporting women? And is Kellyanne Conway correct? In fact, all the women have come out now who support Trump, all of them, and say this is naked sexism and misogyny. Are they right? Are you offended? Should you be offended? 617-266-6868. James in New Hampshire. You're going to kick us off, James. Thanks for holding, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, James.
You know, it's been a long week, and you've been real busy with everything in the news, and I just can't believe. Well, I can believe. You know, they keep saying this stuff to try and incite us, and it's just like Trump said. You know, they're going after him to get to us, and now they're proving their true colors. And like you said the other day, you know, at least we know where we stand. They're saying the silent part out loud. You know, and we need all of us, everyone, to mobilize and come out and vote on the 5th. Everyone, Republican, up and down the ballot, all the way. We have to all go out and show to vote.
I'm so with you, James. James, if I'm getting too personal, please tell me, are you married, or do you have a partner or a significant other?
I'm married. I took my kids trick-or-treating last night as well, so yes.
And she's a Trump voter, I take it, right?
Yes.
How do you feel? How does she feel being now insulted, being told she's weak and stupid? And James, please hang on. I'm up against the break. I'm going to come right back to you. It's a short break. James, my question to you is, are you insulted that they went after your wife? Because I am, and I know many Trump supporters. 6:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. As many of you are texting the Kuhner man, is Kamala deliberately now trying to sabotage and tank her own campaign? I mean, you could make that case. They are doing everything they can to fire up the Trump base, to motivate Trump voters to go out, as I said yesterday, to crawl over broken glass to vote either in early voting or on November 5th. So now their top surrogate went on The View and insulted all Trump-supporting women. Every single one of them, saying they're not strong, they're not intelligent, essentially they're weak and stupid. And the fury, the backlash, I thought the garbage comment incited people to blow back. I've never seen anything like it. Republican women are coming out of the woodwork. Even a lot of Republican men defending their wives, partners, girlfriends, saying this is really now beyond the pale. And so we got James in New Hampshire. We lost him for a couple seconds. We got him back. James, you said you're married, happily married. God bless you. James, I'm just curious. Is your wife offended and upset? And are you insulted on behalf of your wife? Because as I said to Mike and Sandy during the break. It's one thing, it's truly one thing to insult me. You want to insult me, go ahead, I don't care. But when you come after my wife, those are fighting words. That, I'm sorry, you leave my wife alone. And that's what J.D. Vance said yesterday. He goes, look, he's insulting my wife. He's insulting Trump's wife. He's insulting Trump's daughter. He's insulting Trump's daughter-in-law. Like this, these people are really showing their utter hatred and disrespect for us. And, if you want to sow more division and discord, this is the way to do it. So, James, I'm just curious, was your wife angered by this? And were you offended by this?
My wife was angered to have more motivation to go out and vote on Tuesday. She couldn't believe it, and I just know the rhetoric. They're just trying to get us angry, and my wife and my kids are off limits, Jeff, and myself and all the rest of the Kuhner country and everyone else in the nation. My kids have gone through hell from COVID. Well, let's face it, and I've been angry ever since then. With COVID, with the Granny Trainee Hour, I've had to remove my kids from public school, and they haven't had a regular school session like they should. It's just, I'm upset, and I've been fighting this battle on and on since then, and I just can't wait to have this all over. It's been a long road, and I hope Trump wins on November 5th, and we can change things.
Amen. James, thank you very much for that call. 617-266-6868. Let me just play the cut again. It's really an abbreviated version of the cut because I just don't want to give this idiot too much airtime. But anyway, the leftist globalist billionaire, and he's an avowed leftist, and he's an avowed globalist. He's for open borders, every free trade deal under the sun. He hates our country. He hates the national sovereignty of our country. He is a big, big supporter of Kamala Harris. And he came out on The View and just blasted Republican women. Here is what he said about Trump, that Trump apparently doesn't want to be surrounded by strong, intelligent women. He's afraid of strong, intelligent women because this is their closing pitch, their closing message. He's a sexist, chauvinist pig. He's a pig. Mark Cuban, top surrogate for Kamala. I want to stress that. This is not some blowhard. He speaks for the Kamala campaign. Roll cut 17, Mike.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women. Ever. It's just that simple.
I mean, it's laughable. It's stupid, really. His comment is, it's not just insulting. It's stupid. First of all, you got a lot of Trump's former employees. I didn't even know some of this. One of them is a woman, who said, Trump let me run the biggest construction project at the time. This was many years ago, when he was building those massive skyscrapers in New York. I was only 31 years of age. I'm a female, obviously a female. He gave me complete control and managerial authority over the entire project. I was one of the few women promoted at that time in the construction industry to senior executive positions. And I stayed with Trump for 18 years afterwards. Okay, just to give you an example of, they're really, when I say they're coming out of the woodwork. So just very quickly, you got to hear this. I mentioned Elise Stefanik. Quote, here's what she said. She was red hot. Quote, this is Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, big surrogate for Trump, was on the short list to be his VP. He relies on her a lot for advice, for strategic policy thinking. She's going to have a prominent role in Trump's administration. Quote, Democrats have an uncanny ability to say what they think. I agree with her. To show their disdain for the American people. And just 2 days ago, Joe Biden, the sitting president of the United States, called 250 million Americans garbage. And then we have Kamala Harris's top ally, this is Mark Cuban, basically calling women who support President Trump weak and dumb, saying that you can't be strong and intelligent and support President Trump. That is the disgraceful closing argument that Democrats are making. Kayleigh McEnany, she's now on Fox News, former White House press secretary. Okay, she's the co-host of Outnumbered. So remember, by the way, I thought she was his best. Well, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was also very good. But Kayleigh McEnany and Sarah Huckabee Sanders, I thought were two of the best press secretaries in decades. They do circles around Jen Psaki or Karine Jean-Pierre. Here is what Kayleigh McEnany said. Quote, "This is so profoundly offensive. I worked for Donald Trump. I consider myself a strong woman. I consider those around me strong women. Kellyanne Conway, Brooke Rollins, Ivanka Trump, Hope Hicks, Sarah Sanders." That's before we get to the women Donald Trump elevated to the very high levels, like Nikki Haley, who still supports him, like Amy Coney Barrett, who he put on the Supreme Court. What about the women who vote for Donald Trump? Are they weak? Are they dumb? Did Mark Cuban just insult any woman who supports Donald Trump? Yes. By the way, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, or now she goes solely by Sarah Sanders. Sarah Sanders, the governor of Arkansas, Trump's first press secretary, said this is deeply insulting and offensive. So what? I'm a bimbo now? Simply because I worked with Donald Trump? Simply because I support Donald Trump? And when is this going to end? And, you know, after a while, the Democrats have to ask themselves, you just keep disparaging and slurring and libeling and defaming and demonizing. This is beyond Trump. Now you're going after the people who work for him, the people who vote for him, the people who support him. Now, as I said on X last night, and I'm going to repeat it, this POS just insulted my wife. Don't go after my wife. Don't go after my kids. You want to come after me? That's okay. So you asked for it, Cuban. I'm going to give it to you now. Okay? Where's your PhD? Because my wife has a PhD. I'm sorry. I'm not bragging. He's saying my wife is weak, stupid, and an idiot. She's dumb and pathetic. Because she's going to vote for Donald Trump. She voted for him in 2016. She voted for him in 2016. She voted for him in 2020. And she's going to vote for him again. So, okay, this is your weak and stupid? Fine. PhD? Where's your PhD? She taught at multiple universities, including Virginia Commonwealth, Howard University, McGill University. Tell me, how many universities have you taught at, you loser? She was an editorial writer and an editor at the Washington Times. Tell me, I'm sorry, were you ever a professional journalist? And now she runs her own successful real estate business. You couldn't shine her shoes. And you're going to stand there and vilify my wife? Because she knows her self-interest better than you do? Because she's not indoctrinated like you are? And so you think it's fair game now to go after my woman, to go after my Grace? So from me to you, blank off. Seriously, man, blank off. Now, they're going to pay an immense price at the polls, and they should pay an immense price. And these are the same Democrats that are trying to label and brand Trump as a sexist? By taking whatever he says, a word here, a phrase there, deliberately out of context. No. The only sexist, misogynist pigs that I see are them. And Mark Cuban is Exhibit A. 648 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266 6868 is the number. I got to tell you, I've never seen Trump supporting women, MAGA women, this infuriated. I mean, it is hell hath no fury. Like a strong, intelligent Trump woman scorned. Let me just, holy mackerel. And God bless you. I got to tell you that. Anyway, so this is Ashley St. Clair. Okay, I've never heard of Ashley St. Clair, but apparently she's got a considerable following on X. And she's a MAGA woman. She's a Trump supporting woman. And she is really, I mean, on fire. I just want to quickly read this to you and then go right back to the phone lines. So she quotes Cuban in his own words. You never see Donald Trump around strong, intelligent women, ever. And she says, really? Well, okay. First up is Tulsi Gabbard. So Tulsi famously destroyed Kamala Harris in the Democrat presidential debate. She's a veteran, lieutenant colonel, psychological operations. She's in the military. Former congresswoman, former vice president of the DNC, who, by the way, she's in phenomenal shape. She works out like a demon. She's in the military. And as Ashley says, Tulsi could bench press Mark Cuban with her pinky, which is true. Then, I don't want to go through it. She goes through name after name after name. It was, it just goes on. Okay, here's just one more. Miriam Adelson. You may remember her, Mark, from when you sold her the Dallas Mavericks, the basketball team, the NBA team. So apparently, this MAGA woman, Miriam Adelson, for the most part, bought Mark Cuban out. She's also a doctor, the fifth richest woman in America. Wow. Wow, Mazel tov, as the Jews say. Congratulations. A business magnate and philanthropist. She's a huge supporter of Trump, and she also received the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Trump. I mean, wow. And it's name after name after name after name. Look, I'm telling you, man, he really stepped in at this time. This one, I don't know what it is. I can just feel it. It's just a sixth sense on my part. We took the Biden, all of us garbage, a little bit more in stride. It's senile dementia. Joe, they always call us these names like deplorables and bitter clingers and Nazis. But for whatever reason, this one has really struck a chord. And Republican women, and especially MAGA or Trump voting women, are not taking it lying down. They are giving it to him with both barrels. And apparently he is shocked. He's on the defensive, and he doesn't know what to do, because this is turning now into a public relations nightmare. Nightmare. For both him, but especially and more importantly, the Kamala Harris campaign. Kathleen in Rockland. Thanks for holding, Kathleen, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call, Jeff.
My pleasure.
Last night, I had some of my neighbors were over with the trick-or-treat stuff. Anyway, what get to my point is they all work at either the town hall and take the early voting ballots or on Tuesday morning. And I was told that they do not have the right, it's against the law, to ask anybody for their identification. So I went through, well, you mean so my neighbor, if I can go in and vote for me, no identification, blah, blah, blah. Is that a Massachusetts? Does the Massachusetts law? Is that true?
They cannot ask for your ID. That's correct.
So just like the shelter-in law that can be changed by this governor that we have, is that something the governor also has the right to do, that we ask for identification, or is that all blue states have this?
Well, it's some states have voter ID laws. Blue states do not want to have voter ID laws because it helps them cheat. There's no question. But no, if I go, say, and vote, say I'm going to vote on Tuesday, and the woman behind, I always volunteer my ID to try to shame them a little bit. But if she was to say to me, can you show me some ID? I can turn around and say it's a violation of the law. And there's nothing they could do about it. They would have to give me a ballot. Even if she suspects that I'm lying. Even if she suspects, say, that I'm not Jeff Kuhner, I'm just going to make up my address because there's a lot of crazy people out there, Kathleen, who want to hurt me and my family, so I can't give my actual address on the air. So I'll just make one up. So even if I say, I'm Jeff Kuhner, 100 Johnson Street in Rentham, and they're looking at me and they're like, I don't think so. They can't ask for any ID. They can't ask for a driver's license. They can't ask for anything. I mean, that's how crazy it is. Look, Kathleen, please, you can look it up, okay? I don't want you to take my word for it. It is a massive scandal in Michigan. The national media, the corrupt corporate media, is suppressing this story. At the University of Michigan, a Chinese foreign student, so this is a student from China, I don't mean a Chinese American, Chinese student from China, not a citizen, not even close to a citizen, just going to school, a foreign student at the University of Michigan, to make a point about what a joke our voting laws are, went to the local polling booth and voted in the presidential election. And he walked up, gave his name, they said he was living at the dorm, and the only proof that he gave them of anything was his student ID number. That's it. Not a passport, not a driver's license, literally his student ID number. And he just tried it as an experiment, and he couldn't believe it. They said, sure, go ahead, vote. And so he said, okay. And he illegally voted. And he came out and said, then he called he told the media, and he said, look, here's the receipt, I voted. Here's what I did. I showed up. I told him I'm Michigan University. That's where I live. I stay at the dorm. Here's my student ID number. She didn't ask me if I'm a citizen. Am I eligible to vote? Am I registered to vote? No. Okay, go ahead, vote. Here's a ballot. Now, the Michigan Secretary of State came out and said, now we can't nullify that ballot. That ballot will now be counted. So we now have, he's disenfranchised one legitimate U.S. American citizen by what he did. Now, he said, I was just doing it to prove a point. Basically, the Chinese are mocking our system. He goes, I'm mocking your election and, your lack of election integrity. What a joke it is, how easy it is to vote. Now, had he not admitted this, he never would have been caught. So you have to ask yourself, how many out there are doing exactly what this foreign Chinese student did? And I don't mean just from China, from countries all over the world who are at our universities. By the way, that's why they don't want to change the law here. Because talk about Massachusetts. The Democrats' ace in the hole again and again and again is Boston College, Boston University, University of Massachusetts, Harvard, MIT. I could run down the whole list. We have some of the greatest concentrations of universities and colleges, university students in the entire country, in the world. Most of them, not all, but most are foreign students, or they're out-of-state students, and they're also foreign students. How do you think Elizabeth Warren keeps racking up these wins? Or Ed Markey, or Holden Mora Healy? That's why I've said for years, you neutralize the college students. Massachusetts is a purple state. I'm telling you, it's a purple state. But when you got all these campuses, and they don't care if you're registered, not registered, you're from Texas, you're from Missouri, you're from New Hampshire, you vote here, they just take the vote, keep voting Democrat. You're from Saudi Arabia, you're from China, you're from wherever. Just vote Democrat, keep this machine going. That's why they don't want voter ID laws. That's why they fight it tooth and nail. That's why if they say to you, we want to see proof of ID that you are a citizen, B, you reside in Massachusetts, and you are who you say you are, it is against the law in Massachusetts. By the way, it's also against the law in Michigan. Why? Because they want to make it as easy as possible for people to cheat. They did it in Michigan. The guy admitted it, got away with it. They can't even stop it afterwards when the guy admits it. So his vote is now going to be counted. So, Kathleen, that's the number one issue that conservatives and Republicans need to wage and confront in this state. We will never win until we clean up the corrupt, dirty election system. And that is the one issue that the Massachusetts Republican Party, led by Amy Carnevale, will not address. Because the rhinos know that's the key to democratic control and democratic power. And so they have an unholy alliance, an arrangement. We'll give you a few seats. You can be a lobbyist like Amy Carnevale. You can line your pockets with consulting contracts and with lobbying contracts. And we'll dish out some cash to the Boston Herald and to other people who work for the Boston Herald. Just make sure they get paid, and nobody says a word. Keep the system going. But when you have real opposition, people like me, or on the political level, someone like Jeff Deal, who, whatever you think of his personality, but in terms of the issues, you ask Jeff Deal, he goes, that's the number one issue. They have to destroy him. They have to destroy him. And anybody who supports him. They won't accept voter ID and cleaning up the voting rolls in this state because it threatens their very power. So, Kathleen, long answer to your question. To them, voter ID is like a cross to Dracula. Since we're on Halloween, still, I know it was yesterday, but my kids dragged me out to Halloween. They wore me out, by the way. House after house, street after street. I'm like, you got enough candy here for 5 years. So, but anyway, saw a lot of vampires last night. A lot of people dressed as Dracula. This is like a cross to Dracula. So, Kathleen, if someone asks you for your ID, you don't want to give them your ID, and you tell them it's against the law, you are right, and there's nothing you can do about it. And if they force you, Kathleen, to show your driver's license, if they compel you, you have a case, a civil rights case. You can literally sue them and win money. I hope that answers your question, Kathleen.
Do that. I'll call Morgan. But one last thing. I'm of the belief that if you haven't got something nice to say face to face to someone, you don't say it. Well, I had on my outfit last night. I had my Trump Vance shirt, my hat, and that was my outfit. That was my costume. And someone said something to me, and I said, well, I'll tell you what. However it goes, if it goes in your favor, I will personally wrap up in a bakery box some poop, and I will put it on your front doorsteps because I think that's where it should go. All you Democrat voters, you collect the poop. Then she goes on about this and that, and I says, well, you can check them when they come over to see where they come from when they're coming through the border if you want, but I'm going to personally put it on your front doorstep. Thank you very much. Happy Halloween. Trick or treat.
Kathleen, thank you very much for that call. That's funny. No, really, enough is enough. And they keep going on. We're a threat to democracy. I mean, I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. 617-266-6868. Bob in Plymouth. Thanks for holding, Bob, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure, Bob.
I'd like to propose a little quiz to you and see if you can come up with the answer real quick. There's a person on TV every day, Monday through Friday, who is criticizing smart Republican women. and she is, let's just say, hard to look at, much less listen to her nonsense on a daily basis. I don't watch the show, and neither do you. Can you guess who I'm talking about?
Now, is this local or national?
National TV.
Holy mackerel. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, you're Andrea Mitchell, Anna Navarro, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar. Am I anywhere close to who you have in mind, Bob? I'm sorry, who did you say?
I said, if you're next to Joe Behar, you got her.
Oh, okay, yeah, Joy Behar. Well, there's Whoopi, there's there's the Screamer, the Yeller, Anna Navarro. There's Andrea Mitchell on MSNBC, who apparently now is resigning or whatever, retiring from her show. So, no, I mean, Joy Behar, the woman's a monster. She really is. And stupid. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not trying to be insulting, but just nothing. You listen to them and you're like, you're so grotesquely uninformed. Like, would it kill you to read, I don't know, a paragraph in a newspaper? It's just like they just get on that stage and just say whatever comes to their head. It's a ghastly show. It really is. It's for the low information, low IQ voter. It really is. How that show has ratings is beyond me. But this is, and I thought like Kamala had, I mean, honestly, Bob, to me, Kamala has the Joy Behar vote. She's got the Whoopi Goldberg vote. But it seems like they want more of it, or they think if they can mobilize their people to counter Trump's mobilized base, that somehow they're going to win. I don't understand their strategy. I really don't. So, okay. I mean, just spit in the faces of all Republican women, all Trump women in particular. Okay. Okay. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. But we'll find out on election night. Bob, were you shocked that Cuban went this far?
Before what he said the other day, but I like him even less now. I don't even care about him, to be honest with you, you know. But another quick story. My wife was in a hospital recently, and her partner in the other bed, she would watch The View every morning. Drove my wife nuts. My wife could not wait for her to get out of there or for her to leave. Talk about torture. Talk about torture, you know.
Bob, thank you very, very much for that call. No, I guarantee you that is subsidized by ABC News. That show does not make money. The ratings are in the toilet. Their ratings are horrible. That's ABC News paying these, what do you want to call them, you know, these rabid left-wing women to just spew their hatred day after day after day. I mean, they're garbage. They're nonsense. And that's like, yeah, we'll just eat that. Whatever. The primetime sitcoms, you know, they make money. Well, some of what the money that they make, we're just going to throw that to the View. So we can just be radical hard left and radically anti-Trump every day, nonstop, and just spew nonstop hatred and propaganda. 617-266-6868 is the number. Nana in Woburn. Thanks for holding, Nana, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call. I've called many times. My thumb got tired. I couldn't press it anymore. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of history about men and women. Number one, God, who created the earth, decided, I will make people. And so he put on it Adam, and he decided man cannot live alone. And so he created the wonderful person called a woman, and he gave her as a gift. Okay, she gave him an apple, and he bit it. This is the beginning of it all. And so we got together. And so as time goes on, we have children, and we have gotten to this point in our lives. The thing about it is that gift of life, of giving children and birthing, belongs to women alone. We cannot do it by ourselves, and so we have a mate, someone that loves us, someone that we trust. We have their children, we have our children, but at the same time, they now want to denigrate the job that we started when Adam and Eve got founded. Now, no matter what your faith is, that's the history of the beginning of time. Now we get to this point now where women are this, that, and the other thing. The problem is they are the only givers of life. There are other men who create them, but they're sort of dewdrop-inners, and then they go off their merry way, and the women are left with what to do and how to manage the life of themselves and their children. Women are brave, and if a man had to have a baby, there would be no children in the world, I'll tell you right now. And I'm just saying that what's happening is the women now are starting to speak up because they're talking about taking the life that they gave to use as they see fit according to their plan of how they're going to manage the world. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that you talk about history in schools of the children. All you have to do is on a field trip, take them to Washington and let them go to the Holocaust Museum. Because if the world goes the way we're going, we will be in that. You go in there, you cry your eyes out. You couldn't get tickets to it for about 3 years when it opened. But I went there. I was horrified. And it is a lesson in life. And I see some comparisons now to what is going on in this world.
Oh, no question. No question. Nana, very powerful, important call. I have to say that. Profound call. A really profound call. And thank you very much. No, look, this is to me, I think, and this is not original. Okay, this is, many people are making this point. What you're seeing now coming from the Democrats in this campaign, just stand back for a second. We're deplorables, according to Hillary. We're all Nazis, racists, and fascists, according to Kamala Harris. According to Joe Biden now, we're subhuman. We're garbage. Now the line of attack is that our women, all women that vote for Trump, are weak and stupid. They're dehumanizing us. And in particular, what you're seeing on the left is they're dehumanizing women. Notice how they refer to women now on the left as birthing persons or chest feeders. I mean, really objectifying women. And this is from the same party that can't even define what a woman is. But now all of a sudden they know a smart, intelligent, strong woman. I mean, the hypocrisy here, it's unbelievable. 721 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. You can also text the Kuhner man. If the text line, it's coming in so fast, it's like you almost can't read it. You know what I mean? It's like ding, 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 ding. So anyway, they're coming in fast and furious. Keep them coming. I promise we read them. This is from 703. So I think this is the Virginia area. Jeff, this election is wild. One side has Elon Musk, the entire UFC fighting roster, and an army of men with normal testosterone levels. The other side has Mark Cuban, the Krasensteins, and an army of sexually blackmailed celebrities and alcoholic liberal women. So, now, this, a great text. This is from 617. I think really hits the nail on the head. Jeff, personally, I think Mark Cuban is a misogynistic pig. He is an example of a very rich white man. This is now in parentheses, which the Democrats hate until they serve a purpose for them. He's throwing around his weight literally. he must owe a leftist something, because an intelligent man doesn't act so ignorant without being blackmailed. And we all know the deep state has a lot of videos on people. Now, this person goes on to say, Jeff, the Democrats, and especially Kamala Harris, insult and offend women every single day. They use women and our gender only when it suits them. Then they allow men to hijack our gender for political purposes. I personally find this insulting and offensive. And I'm speaking now as a woman. You know, I gotta say, 617, you're 1,000, as I like to say, you're not 100, you're 1,000% correct. And Riley Gaines is now really outraged as well. And she's blasting and firing away at Cuban, without quarter on X and on social media. And she's the one that comes out and said, well, first of all, here's a picture of me with Trump. Here's another picture of me with Trump. We're doing events together because unlike Kamala Harris, he doesn't want biological men in sports or in the shower or in women's bathrooms. And he's the one that wants to control women? He's the one that hates women? Now, and as Riley Gaines points out, who is the one now that is denying us our femininity? Who is the party that literally wants to destroy female sports and allow men to participate in women's sports? Kamala Harris, the Democrats. Who is not protecting women in their own bathrooms and locker rooms and when they shower from biological men posing as women? It's Kamala Harris and the Democrats. To the point now, they can't even define what a woman is. That's how much now we're being objectified. The term that's now being used for women by liberals and leftists is quote unquote birthing persons, which I think is disgusting, personally, and chest feeders, which I also think is disgusting. Literally, this is now how they're defining a woman. What's between your, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying, what's between your legs. This is you there because the baby comes out from there. And then the chest because you feed the baby with the chest. They're dehumanizing us. They're dehumanizing women. And now you've got Cuban going out there and saying, ha ha, you vote for Trump, you're an idiot. All of you, every single one of you. You're stupid, you're weak, you're unintelligent, you can't stand on your own 2 feet. This is one of the best texts I've ever had, and I'm going to read it on the other side. And then I promise I'm going to go right back to the phone calls. It is from 917. And I think it sums up everything that's happening right now to a T. I've got that, your reaction, your calls, next. 7:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, super quick reset because I want to go right back to the blazing phone lines. So this is now, they just keep going lower and lower and lower. Just when you thought they were scraping the bottom of the barrel, nope. Kamala, her campaign, the Democrats, they go to a new low. They just keep finding a way to go lower. So we're all Nazis, racists, and fascists, according to Kamala Harris. If you're a Trump voter, a Trump supporter, we're Hitler. He's Hitler, we're Hitler, we're all Hitler. Okay. Hillary Clinton, we're all deplorables. Okay. Obama, we're all bitter clingers. Okay. Joe Biden, we're all garbage, or pieces of garbage. Okay. Mark Cuban now. surrogate for Kamala. Let's go after the women now, in particular, the Trump women. So every woman that supports or votes for Donald Trump, guess what? You're dumb, you're weak, and you're stupid. Every single one of you. This Donald Trump has nothing to do, doesn't want to be surrounded with, wants nothing to do with serious, intelligent women ever, according to Cuban. Okay? Call me Cuban. So, this is from 781. You can text us 70470. This is from 781. Jeff, people are like a tube of toothpaste. When they get squeezed, you see what's really on the inside. The members of the Communist Democrat Party, their donors, their backers, and their supporters are feeling the panic and the pressure that President Trump and the MAGA movement are bringing to bear on them. And so they're lashing out. And we're getting a chance to see what they really think. Let their own malicious tongues indict them. I love it. I love it. They're panicking. And I love the analogy of like squeezing a toothpaste, the toothpaste out of a tube. They're getting pressure and more pressure and more pressure because the more early voting that goes on, the more they see that these battleground states are slipping away. The more the polls come out, they see that the battleground states are now running away with Trump, and the more the panic is setting in. And the more the panic is setting in, look what is coming out of their mouths. It's what we suspected it, you did, I did, but now we know beyond the shadow of a doubt. That's what they really think of us. And more importantly, if that's what they think of us, what do you think they have in terms of what they plan and want to do to us? If they think that little of us, what are they really planning to do? That's the question everybody has to keep asking themselves. And that's why we need to vote them out November 5th, no matter what. Agree, disagree, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, another public firestorm ignited now by the Kamala Harris campaign. This time, her top surrogate, Mark Cuban, on The View, comes out and blasts, really insults and defames all Republican women, especially those that vote for Trump or support Trump, saying they're not serious, they're not smart, they're not intelligent, and they're not strong. They're weak, dumb, and pathetic. What say you? Michael in Boston. Thanks for holding, Michael, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Michael.
Mark Cuban is in panic, and he's very compromised. It's very obvious. So he's hearing what's going to happen if Trump wins. I have no idea why he's compromised, but if you remember the discussion that Tucker Carlson had with Elon Musk a couple of weeks ago on his channel, Elon Musk told him that there's a number of billionaires that are so compromised, either because of financial issues or sexual issues, that they're in absolute fear as to what's going to happen if Trump wins. That's exactly who Mark Cuban is. This has nothing to do with his views. This has nothing to do with his ego. This has nothing to do with his view of women. This has to do with his absolute sheer panic of what videos exist and what pictures exist and what emails exist that the deep state has. And that's the reason why when they called him to go campaign, he said, yes, sir, and yes, woman, right away, and making the tour and the View and all that stuff. Mark Cuban is not a dumb guy. He's actually a pretty interesting guy if you listen to him. But he is an absolute sheer panic. I have no idea why. But Elon Musk has discussed this before. He said he estimates there's about 60 or 80 such billionaires that are so compromised that they're acting like the biggest, liberal backers when in fact this has nothing to do with their beliefs.
Well, Michael, by the way, brilliant. I'm kind of brilliant call. Brilliant. Michael, look, I can just tell you this with absolute certainty. Trump wanted to release the list, and they have the list of who went to Epstein Island, okay, and what they did on Epstein Island. Now, Elon, one of the conditions that he made, saying, look, I want to work with you. I want to help you win. We're going to do this from basically almost like a partnership or an alliance. But what I want from you is, I know you want to do it, Donald, Mr. President, but I want an ironclad guarantee. Not 99% you're going to do it, 100% guarantee you're going to do this. I want you to release the Epstein list. It was like the first precondition, saying, look, we're going to do this, but this has got to be carved in stone. You're going to do this. They shook hands, and Trump publicly said, I just promised this to Elon. So you're going to hold me to this. This is my seminal promise where I'm going to release the Epstein list. You're going to know definitively who was molesting children and who was engaged. Forgive me, it's a family show, so I'll try to clean it up a little bit. Who was engaged in these sort of escapades and orgies, let me just leave it at that were taking place with underage men and women with some of the most powerful people in the world. Now, the reason why Elon is aggressively pushing this, because he's the wealthiest man in the world. He runs with the billionaire class. He's part of the club. He knows them. They go to the same parties. They go to the same conferences. They know each other. I'm telling you, he is disgusted by the level of depravity, immorality, and corruption, the venality that he sees among America's ruling elite, and he wants all of us to know. He wants names to be named and actions to be exposed, what deeds to be exposed. Now, he's already hinted at Bill Gates and another billionaire Democrat donor, very powerful donor, a big Hillary supporter, now Kamala, Reid Hoffman. So he's already said those names. But I'm telling you, he's all but said Mark Cuban is implicated. He hasn't said it, but he's all but said it. And he came out and said, if you want to know why all of these globalist billionaires are frantically defending and advocating for Kamala, is because they are petrified that they're either going to be on the Epstein list or the P. Diddy freakout list with his crazy, insane sex parties. And Trump's going to release that list. So he says that's why they are not just all in for Kamala. They will say and do anything. They are desperate to make sure that she wins in November and Trump loses. So, Michael, look, he's basically said, as far as he can say, without his lawyer saying, you don't want to get sued, saying, you know why they're lying about Trump? You know why they're fear-mongering against Trump? You know why they're circling the wagons around Kamala? They're on the Epstein list. They've been blackmailed, and now all of this compromising information is going to be made public should Trump win. And I think that explains a hell of a lot. Final word to you, Michael.
Well, Jeff, what is very interesting with this race this year, which is much different than races in previous years, at least we didn't know it before, is, in the last decades, you got people arguing about, what's better for Medicare, how much money to put there, how much money to give to, different social programs and so on and so forth. This race is a race between people that have beliefs and common sense and people that are in panic to protect their rear end because of what they've done in the past. It is an amazing, this has nothing to do with ideology this year.
I so agree. Really, again, really well framed. Michael, excellent call. Thank you. I think you really said it very well. You got really Trump's ideas are, when you listen to them, just common sense. And then you've got the other side. And it's panic porn, it's fear-mongering, it's histrionic. They're covering up their corruption and power. 749 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay, I want to go to Grayson Walpole. 30 seconds. You got to hear this. So, this is coming from many of you. Again, best audience in the business. You've been texting the Kuhner Man, emailing the Kuhner Man, messaging the Kuhner Man. I hear you loud and clear. So this is what many of you are telling me. I just checked it off air, and you're completely right. They're saying that Mark Cuban has got to be one of the dumbest men on the entire planet. Why? Because according to him, this is what he said, that Trump does not ever surround himself with intelligent, strong women, ever. That he's threatened by him, he's intimidated by him, he wants nothing to do with him. Well, Miri Adelson, her name is Miriam, but she goes by Miri. Miri Adelson, and I talked about her briefly before. She is the 5th richest woman in America. She's also a doctor. She's also, as all of you are pointing, and by the way, she's supporting Trump. She actually gave him money to one of his PACs to the tune of nearly $100 million. So she's been given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Trump. She's endorsed Trump. She's given nearly $100 million to Trump. You see them hanging out together, at rallies together, at conferences together, at events together. She's one of his biggest public supporters. She's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. She bought out Mark Cuban. Cuban now only has 27% of the team, the NBA, the basketball team, Dallas. You know, you always see him at these games. He's waving a towel. He makes a fool of himself. And apparently, I'm just going by what the media is saying, the reason why she let him keep the minority stake, she would have bought him out completely. She goes, he likes to show up at the games and make a fool of himself. Let him show up at the games and make a fool out of himself. Okay. But as everyone's pointing out, she's his boss. Literally. Miri Adelson is Mark Cuban's boss. He answers to her. She's the majority owner. She's the one who bought him out. So this guy is insulting and vilifying his own boss. You can't make this up. So, if I were her, I'd call him up this morning. Mark, I've given Trump $100 million, right? I fully endorse him, right? I may even probably have a role in his cabinet. You realize that, right? And you're saying I'm weak and I'm stupid? The one that bought you out? Because I have a lot more money than you do? And I'm much more successful than you? You know what, Mark? We're going to buy out the rest of your 27 dinky % of the team. And buddy, you're fired. Okay, dumbass? You're fired. They've got, as the Russians say, I'm telling you, they've got kompromat. Okay, compromised information. They've got kompromat. The deep state, whatever. They've got kompromat on Mark Cuban. Because I'm telling you, she is going to take him to the woodshed today for what he said. Miri Adelson is going to give it to him today with both barrels. 617-266-6868. Here's my prediction. By the time she's done chewing him out, big apology coming in about, Sandy, what are they in Texas? Are they Mountain Time? Are they Pacific Time? Are they 2 hours or 3 hours behind? They're Central Time. Okay. Let's say 11 o'clock Eastern Time. My prediction, by 11 o'clock Eastern, It's a groveling apology, straight from Mark Cuban's X account. Grace in Walpole. Thanks for holding, Grace, and welcome.
Thank you. Hello, Jeff. I'm a first-time caller, and I wanted thank you. I wanted to share with you that I am a doctor and a lawyer, but my degrees cannot hold a candle to my patriotism. Why? Because I'm smart enough. I love my country, honor our veterans, and vote for Donald Trump. So, what can we do together? I'm going to ask everybody to please vote early today. I'm going to ask everybody to go to a standout or a Trump train convoy this weekend. On Election Day, please bring your sign, your flag, and stand at your polling place, 150 feet away, of course. And if you see something, say something. Keep a vigilant eye open. There is a voter protection hotline for Massachusetts. And I just want to say the smart choice is to make America great again.
Grace, I got to say, wow. I mean, I've known people who are a doctor. I've known people who are a lawyer. And to me, that's already very impressive. I've known very few. In fact, I don't think I've ever known anybody who's both a doctor and a lawyer. So really, I tip my hat off to you, Grace. You're obviously highly intelligent, highly independent, highly successful. God bless you. Grace, I got to ask you, when someone like Cuban, on behalf of the Kamala campaign, says, you know what, Grace in Walpole, because that's basically what he's saying, you're a Trump supporter, you're a Trump voter, you're an idiot. You're weak, you're stupid, you're pathetic, you can't think for yourself, you let men control you, men run you, and really, you're not a competent, independent person. Are you offended? A, are you insulted? And B, do you think a lot of your fellow female Trump supporters feel the same way? Is this motivating you now to back, vote, and support Trump even more?
They offended and all that only because he's worth nothing. I don't have the time. I'm too busy fighting for my country. I'm too busy campaigning. So the fact that he said it just tells me who the smart people are and who the dumb ones are. And I don't have time for that. I really don't. We're so busy moving forward. And I would say what it has done is not inflamed us. It has empowered us.
Grace, do me a favor. Don't be a stranger. Call again. Will you do me that favor, Grace?
Thank you for all you do and for your continued support.
Oh, thank you, Grace. God bless you. Great call. 617-266-6868. Okay, on that note, another strong, independent, intelligent woman is in my ear. Well, actually, through Mike, she's in my ear. Read the poll question. We had it up now for over an hour and a half. Do your job. So Sandy is telling me to do the poll question, and she's right. Okay, so the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. Who do you think treats women or views women better? In other words, who do you think is more respectful towards women? Okay? A, Republicans. B, Democrats. And obviously when I mean Republicans, I'm talking, Trump Republicans. In other words, who's more respectful, who's nicer and more positive towards women? A, MAGA, Trump Republicans. B, Democrats. I want to hear from you. To me, Republicans aren't calling women birthing persons, chest feeders. They can define a woman. They don't want men violating their privacy and their rights in sports, in the locker room, in bathrooms, in showers. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. They don't call you garbage. They don't call you Nazis. They don't call you racist, fascists, and Hitler. So to me, the answer is A. To me, it's almost self-evident. But that's me. I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER, wrko.com/Kuhner. You can also vote via X, my handle there, and I am very active, at the Kuhner Report, all one word, Kuhn as in national ER. Lines are blazing. But before I get to Mark and Milton, 8 o'clock, you know what that means. Caller of the week, Kuhner's Call Log.
It's time for Kuhner's Call Log, where we showcase our favorite caller from the week.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Thanks for holding, John, and welcome.
Jeff, good morning. Thanks for taking my call. As far as this administration, I'm going to do this.
John, my friend, John, are you still there? Can you flush it again? Because that's what we're all going to do on November 5th. That's what we're all doing.
I'm going to flush it right now just for you, Jeff.
Nice flush. Nice and deep. Yeah, John, I love you, buddy, in a non-sexual way.
And next week, it could be you on Kuhner's Call Log.
Please, don't be a stranger. Call again. Love it. Absolutely love it. November 5th, I'm thinking hopefully 10:30, 11:30 in the evening. And there's going to be toilets flushing, millions and millions of them, all over the country. Kamala and Biden right down the toilet. Mark in Milton. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
Earlier today, I thought of two women's names that weren't on the list, but you mentioned Riley Gaines. But how about the woman who has been attacked mercilessly and who shows nothing but grace, composure, strength, and that's Melania Trump.
Bingo. Bingo. And, and Mark, you're right. And the FBI raided her home. They had shoot-to-kill orders for her son, for her husband. She's written a best-selling book, New York Times bestseller. I think it's still number one. I know it's been number one for weeks. And as I pointed out, it could have been in my opening monologue. It's all a bit of a blur now. But I said, look, I'm pro-life, okay, from conception until natural death. That's Jeff Kuhner. I'm never going to change. She's pro-abortion. And in her book, she openly says, look, Donald Trump and I disagree on the issue of abortion. She is much more liberal on the issue of abortion than Trump. And when asked, that's a pretty big disagreement. Did your husband have a problem with that? She said, no. He respects my opinion, and he knows he respects me. And he says, if you believe it, please put it in your book. I'm not going to tell you what to say or what not to say. You're your own woman, and I respect that. So what I'm saying is, not only does he have a strong, independent, obviously highly intelligent woman who wasn't just a successful fashion model. She speaks, half a dozen languages. And, who's been with him through thick and thin. But now has come out with a really good book, a highly praised, critically acclaimed memoir, in which on a major, you want to talk about a divisive issue, she and the president have honest, profound disagreement. And he's not threatened by it. He's not upset by it. He's not telling her to change her opinion. Far from it. He says, put it in the book. Let everybody know. It's okay. I'm man enough. I can handle my wife and I not seeing eye to eye on every issue. My wife has her own mind. I have my own mind. See, this is what's so ridiculous about this accusation against Trump. I mean, I could go on, from his daughter to his daughter-in-law I could just go on to his lawyer, Alina Habba, She's a brilliant, very articulate, very forceful lawyer. In fact, I got to say, she undressed Mark Cuban last night on X. She started to just list all of the cases that she's won. She goes, I could go on, but you're too stupid to get it. So you're going to question my intelligence, my toughness, my success? I mean, he really put his foot in his mouth. Honestly, Mark, he looks like an absolute imbecile this morning. He really does. And what have they done? They've just now inflamed, incited, angered, and in many ways energized and motivated every Republican woman, every Trump-supporting woman to now, if they weren't thinking of voting or were on the fence or, I'll get to it if I get to it, now he's guaranteed maximum 100% turnout. All he's done is given another political gift to Trump 4 days before the election. Just like Biden gave Trump a massive political gift less than 1 week before the election by calling all of us garbage. What say you, Mark?
Well, it just goes to the general and overall, and hypocrisy is really too light of a word. This is an evil party. They think that we attack women and are against women, and all we want to do is not just stand up for women, but stand beside women. Think of Melania putting up more traditional Christmas decorations and how she got excoriated for it. Whereas, I can't come up with a better term than the disgusting things that have been done in the White House under the Clinton administration, the Obama administration, and now this current, it's a crime to call it an administration because there's no administering being done. Melania Trump has put up with so much, and every time she comes out, you see the face, the vitriol coming out of Kamala Harris, you see the vitriol coming out of Hillary Clinton, and Melania is never anything but grace and composure, even with everything that has been thrown at her.
You're dead on. And look, Paul, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, and you're completely right. Unlike Kamala, unlike Hillary, her husband was shot in the face. They raided her home, armed, the FBI, shoot to kill. And they went after her, they went after Barron, and they went after her husband. Now they're trying to bankrupt her and her husband and her family. And then they shot her husband in the face. Then they tried to kill him again. And apparently now they're going after Barron. Barron's been getting death threats left, right, and center. Now, think about, you're a wife and you're a mother. I understand she has her own career, but let's just leave the career off the table. Just speaking now as a wife and a mother. So, how would you behave to all the women out there? They tried to blow your husband's head off. They shoot your husband in the face. They raid your home, guns blazing. They are threatening to murder your child. And you go, and out in the face of all this vilification and all this hatred and all these insults, or they pounce on anything that you say, anything that you wear, if the hair on her head is not 1,000% perfect, they start mocking her. And yet, she goes out and defends her husband in media interview after media interview, speech after speech, rally after rally. Paul, as you said, with absolute grace. She's cool, she's calm, she's smart, she's articulate, she's level-headed, as you said, very graceful. Most people I know, and I'm including myself, if someone, God forbid, shot my wife in the face and ordered the FBI to raid my home with their guns drawn or are threatening to murder my children, I'd blow. I'm telling you right now, I'd blow. I'd be like a madman on TV. I'd be like, I'm suing you, and I'm suing you, and F you, and F you. I mean, I'd be like, really, I'd be giving to him with both barrels. The last thing you'd be saying about Jeff Kuhner is he's calm, graceful, and, collected under, pressure. He'd be like, the guy's really ticked off. He's angry. I mean, my head, you see the steam coming out of my ears, Paul. So I agree with you. I think she's a very, very impressive woman. And more impressive as she gets older. Because you're tested, right? The more you're tested, the more you see the character of someone. And Donald Trump is a very lucky man to have Melania as his wife, and he knows that. So, to me, she's the very definition of a strong, smart, intelligent woman. Paul, thank you very much for that call. Look, very quickly, okay? I don't want to get off track. But I just want you to, all of you, just stand back. Because Sandy and I were talking about this off air, and it is so true. If you want to see how bizarre, not just this campaign, but this entire administration is, I mean, Twilight Zone, wacko, weirdo, wee-oo. Now, just remember this. Joe Biden is the leader of the free world, whether we like it or not. This is the sitting president of the United States. This is the leader of the free world. Recently, they had Halloween at the White House. Yesterday, last night was Halloween. As I said, I took the kiddos out trick-or-treating. They wore me out. I don't know how many miles I did with these kids. It was this house, that house, this street, this neighborhood. Long story short, they had basically a Halloween party at the White House. And there were young kids. Joe Biden began biting the legs and feet of babies. Look it up. Please don't take my word for it. One girl actually ran away from him. In another one, he took the foot of the baby and stuck it into his mouth. He's chewing on the foot. It's in his mouth. 821 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, Trump is now on the political warpath. He came out on on Truth Social, my bad. On Truth Social, holy mackerel. I mean, you want to talk about giving Cuban the business. He came out blasting Mark Cuban, calling him a loser, saying that he's insulted all women, and that not only Trump says, look, everybody knows I've surrounded myself with strong women. I love all women, whether they're weak, strong, I really don't care. I want to make sure that we have border policies, crime policies, foreign policies, national security policies that will protect all Americans, especially women in particular. And then he said, look, let me be honest with all of you. This guy kept trying to ingratiate himself with me in my first term as president. And so he kept calling the White House line. And I said, look, Mark, I have a lot of important work to do. I can't keep taking your pointless phone calls. Go bother somebody else. And he goes, that's why he's got it in for me, because I just wouldn't take his calls anymore. Because he wanted to have an outsized or prominent role in his administration. And Trump said, I'm going to be honest, you're not talented, you're not smart enough. I don't need you, I don't want you. You don't add anything to my team. If anything, you're going to undermine and hurt my team. And he went on to say that he's a deeply insecure man, and this is why he behaves like a child and says some of the most outrageous, outlandish, idiotic things. And Exhibit A now being his vicious attack and slur, really it's slander, of every single woman, my wife included, my wonderful Grace, Sandy Shack included, my sister-in-law Lori included, my sister Jennifer, who's a big Trump supporter, voted for him in 2016, voted for him in 2020. She's going to vote for him enthusiastically in 2024, saying if you vote for him, you're weak and dumb. If you support him, you're weak and dumb. And Trump is saying, I'm not going to have it. Stop disparaging my voters. 617-266-6868. Heather in Rockland. Thanks for holding, Heather, and welcome.
Thank you for taking my call. How are you today?
My pleasure. My pleasure, Heather.
All right. So I have a few comments or questions or whatever you want to say. First of all, to answer to your question about the poll question, I think definitely the Democrats, because I don't think you hear very often scandals with Republicans as much as you hear scandals with the Democrats. I mean, it doesn't seem like it anyway. And my other comment is, as far as the Cuban thing, and I'm glad you clarified this because I was trying to rack my head. I didn't understand why. I thought for sure that he supported Trump, and I don't know 2016, but 2020. And all of a sudden he's supporting Kamala, and it didn't make sense. I'm like, why would he switch to Kamala when she has nothing to offer? It didn't make sense to me. And lastly, my last question or comment or whatever is, I posted something, a long thing on Facebook about the election. And then someone replied basically that I need to do my research. And I get annoyed with that stuff because I do my research. I listen to political and I read all day long, about the election and what's going on in the world. So it's kind of an insult to me when someone says that. So anyway,
well, it's meant comments. To be insulting. No, you're completely right, Heather. Look, it's meant to be insulting. And the obvious response to that is, well, what did I get wrong? Show me specifically what I said is, not true, is false. And they can't say that. So they just make this generic, blanket, really silly attack. Well, do your research. Like, what are we, in the 5th grade? So tell me specifically where, show me a fact I've said, a sentence I wrote, what is inaccurate and false. Show me, tell me. They can't. They can't. And by the way, Cuban, just to show you really his brain, he backed Hillary against Trump in 2016. And he predicted, he goes, mark my words, if Trump wins against Hillary, the stock market is going to crash. The economy is going to tank. Instead, the stock market soared and the economy boomed. 8:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Okay, at 9:30, many of you have been asking the Kuhner man, Jeff, the ballot questions here in Massachusetts. What do you think? What do you recommend we vote? Yes or no? What are these ballot questions? Well, I promise you we're going to be discussing all of these 5 ballot questions, and then you can make up your mind what you think is best for you and your family. So that's in just less than an hour away. First, however, I want to play this cut from Trump because the media and the Kamala campaign are now running wild, and I mean wild, over this. So, listen now. This was in Green Bay, in Wisconsin, that famous rally. Remember he showed up in that truck, the white garbage truck with the Trump logo on it, with the orange sanitation worker vest on? Well, he was inside with his vest, and I don't want to, I don't want to influence you in any way. This is what he said. Now, you tell me if what you hear in this 30-second cut is so offensive that you believe Trump now wants to control and dominate all women. Here is exactly what Trump said. He was talking about the migrants pouring in, the border being overrun, the threat of war in Ukraine and Russia becoming World War III, Iran and Israel becoming World War III. So his argument is, with crime rising, the border invasion surging, and with these wars potentially becoming out of control and could leading to World War III or a nuclear war, we need to protect all people, but especially women. Listen now to Trump. Roll cut 2B, Mike.
And my people told me about 4 weeks ago, I was saying, no, I want to protect the people. I want to protect the women of our country. I want to protect the women. Sir, please don't say that. Why? They said, we think it's very inappropriate for you to say. I said, why? I'm president. I want to protect the women of our country. I said, well, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. I'm going to protect them. I'm going to protect them from migrants coming in. I'm going to protect them from foreign countries that want to hit us with missiles and lots of other things.
Okay, so that's what he said. Now, to me, and you may disagree with me, but to me, here's what he's clearly saying. I want to protect all Americans, obviously. But people are saying, well, Trump doesn't like women. That's the accusation constantly from the Kamala campaign, from the media. Trump hates women. He's a misogynist. He's a sexist, yada, yada, yada. And Trump is like, what are you talking about? I want to protect women. I don't want to hurt women. Whether it's crime, the border, these wars that are threatening to escalate and get out of control. And he goes, whether they like it or not. And to me, it's obvious what he means by whether they like it or not. What he means is whether they support me or not, whether they vote for me or not. I'm going to be a president for all Americans. So, in other words, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with my policy or you don't agree with my policy, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you're safe. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. They seized on the phrase. This was CNN. CNN led the charge yesterday, and it came clearly from the Democratic National Committee. It was clearly an order from the DNC and the Kamala campaign. Flip the script. Stop talking about Biden calling all Trump supporters garbage. We have to manufacture a scandal. Put something out there to change the news cycle. So, they kept going on and on about, I will protect women whether they like it or not. Quote, I'm going to do it whether the women like it or not. And they kept looping it. And that's 5 seconds. Looping it and looping it and looping it. Deliberately taking it out of context. Kamala Harris then, right on cue, bang, held a press conference with all of these liberal pro-Kamala reporters. Basically the propaganda media. And here is what she said. Roll cut 2, Mike.
I will comment on the former President Donald Trump's remark about women and whether they like it or not. And listen, it actually is, I think, very offensive to women in terms of not understanding their agency, their authority, their right, and their ability to make decisions about their own lives, including their own bodies.
What? When did Trump say you can't trust women to make their own decisions and have control over their own agency and be able to make decisions about their own lives? That somehow, this is now, I'm telling you, this is what the media is now saying. He just admitted it. He's such a chauvinist, sexist pig, this dictator. He wants to control women, control their bodies, control their freedoms, control their actions, control and dominate everything that they do. Listen now to Kamala. Roll cut 2A, Mike.
This is just the latest on a series of reveals by the former president of how he thinks about women and their agency. whether he has said, as he has, that women should be punished for their choices, whether he has talked about his pride in taking away a fundamental right from women, whether it be how he has actually created a situation in America where now 1 in 3 women lives in a Trump abortion ban state and has legal restrictions on the right she rightly should have to make decisions about her own body.
Okay, number one, as I pointed out yesterday, since the Dobbs decision, there are now more abortions performed every year, in fact, every week, every month, every year, than before the Dobbs decision. So this idea that somehow, that women are being prevented from having abortions is a complete and utter lie, number one. Number two, and more importantly, Trump says openly he wants to punish women. When did Trump ever say he wants to punish women? Show me. Show me the phrase. Show me the word. Show me the line. Show me the speech. Show me. Show me. They're literally making this up. Here, and by the way, I'm just playing one cut. I could play you 50. This is Kristen Holmes on CNN. Listen now. Listen now to how they're labeling this and characterizing this on cable news. Roll cut to C, Mike.
You can't make this up. It's Donald Trump obviously going out there saying he's going to do it whether the women like it or not at a time when he already doesn't have women's support. But I will tell you, it really depends on where you stand on the political spectrum, how you view comments like this. Last night, the women in the crowd were going wild. At one point he asked, is there any woman in here who wants to be protected? And women were screaming that they did want to be protected. And by Donald Trump, if you're not inside of that bubble of Donald Trump supporters, you're likely offended by those kinds of comments. Donald Trump still clearly doesn't have a grip on how to talk to women.
This is unbelievable. I mean, really, the reason why the women in the audience went wild is because they're sick of living with illegal alien crime. They're sick of the drugs. They're sick of the gangs. They're sick of the fentanyl. They're sick of the rapes. They're sick of the murders. That's why they're saying, yes, please secure the border. We're begging you. Yes, please crack down on MS-13 and Tren de Aragua and the Mexican drug cartels. Yes, get the murderers and the rapists and the sexual predators off the streets. Yes, impose law and order. Clean up these criminals. Put them behind bars. Yes. End these disastrous wars in Ukraine and in the Middle East. Yes. We don't want to get blown up in a nuclear mushroom cloud. Yes. This idea now, all of a sudden, he's going to tell us what to do. And we love it. We'll love it. That's how we are. We want to be dominated by Donald Trump, El Hitler, a la Mussolini. Now, to me, it is so obvious. What he's saying is, I'm going to protect everybody, whether you vote for me or don't vote for me, whether you like it or not. That's it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make our country safe. We're going to secure our border. We're going to end these wars. He was specifically talking about migrants, crime, and national security. And suddenly, from this, Donald Trump now wants to control and dominate the lives of every single woman in America. So, I want to ask all of you, 617-266-6868. I played you the clip. Did you find Trump's comments offensive? And do you believe he doesn't know how to speak to women or about women? 8:48 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, let me ask all of you. What do you make now of Kamala Harris attacking Donald Trump, saying that, his comments about whether they like it or not shows a deeply misogynistic, sexist man who wants to control the lives, the bodies, the actions, the decisions of all women. 617-266-6868. Stephen in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Stephen, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Stephen?
Very well. Thank you for taking my call. Jeff, I wanted to talk about something that that has been troubling me for a little bit. And it goes back to when Biden was running for the presidency against Trump, and Hillary had made the statement about don't succeed the election under any circumstances, which was a tell. And we know what happened. The ballots stopped. They brought in all the ballots over a week, and they basically took the election. They stole the election. So now, come forward today, and there was a statement that was made by Harris during an interview where one of the women said, "I'm really concerned about you about after the election." And she made the statement about, "Don't worry about me. We got things under control." That was like a flag to me. And then I learned about the executive order Biden has signed authorizing his use of the United States military against U.S. citizens with lethal force. That was a week and a half ago. And then we start seeing the ads that ABC are running about Harris winning the election. They say they're practicing, they're making sure all the technology is right. To me, these aren't coincidences. These are lining up. And I think next Wednesday and Thursday might be the most dangerous days in the United States since the Revolutionary War, because it's lining up that they're not going to succeed anything. They're going to, even if Trump, the effort that this president has put out, the early voting, everything is just great. But from the Democratic perspective, they're demonizing all the Trump voters. They're demonizing all the supporters, all the name calling, just like what happened before World War II, demonizing the Jews, demonizing anybody that disagreed with them. And it's following the same pattern. I'm very, very concerned about it. So much so that the people that I know, my colleagues, my veterans, they're all saying, get armed, because we may have to take this back. I mean, I'm really concerned about it.
Well, Stephen, look, what you've outlined now is what keeps me up at night. I've been talking about it for about a couple of months now. I'm having a hard time sleeping. I'm going to be like in a confessional. This is, to me, the nightmare scenario. What you've just now laid out is the nightmare scenario. And I'm just going to state the facts, and people can make of it what they will. The House Democrats have sponsored a bill led by Jamie Raskin, but it's got the full approval of Hakeem Jeffries, and it's got the approval of Kamala Harris. So that comes straight now from the top. They will not certify a Trump victory. If they should take back the House of Representatives in this election, that's why I'm urging everybody to vote Republican all the way down the ballot. Because it's not just enough to vote for Trump. Because the Democrats want to block Trump. They even want to prevent him from being certified. Preventing him from being inaugurated. So their position is he is an insurrectionist. He is Hitler. He is a Nazi who will destroy America the way Hitler destroyed Weimar Germany. That's why now it's been weeks and weeks where Kamala's calling us Nazis, racists, fascists, Biden, we're garbage. Now our women, and that's the other reason. The women are weak and stupid because the women are being controlled by the men. And the men are the Nazis. So that's the kind of the ideological groundwork they're trying to lay for preventing Trump from winning, or preventing Trump from, even if he wins, from being installed and inaugurated. So now that's one. The second thing, and again, this is also undeniable. It's undeniable that you now have increasing numbers of Democrats, especially Democrat supporters, they're everywhere, saying even if Trump wins the popular vote, even if he wins the Electoral College, we don't care. Trump needs to be arrested. He needs to be sent to jail, or Merchan, the judge in that Alvin Bragg case, the hush money case as it's called, should sentence Trump to jail immediately. And this way, that'll give us grounds to prevent Trump from ever being able to be installed as president of the United States. So they are going to do everything in their power, should they lose the election, to prevent Trump from ever entering back into the White House. Now, you are right. If they go down this road, and remember, Jamie Raskin openly said this, I can play you the cut again, even if it leads, his words, to quote-unquote civil war-like conditions. So they're willing to blow up the country and ignite a war, a civil war, in order to prevent Trump from serving a second term. Now, the reason why everybody should take this very seriously is we're not Switzerland. We're not the Netherlands. We're not, I could, list countless countries in the world. We already had a civil war. And the Democrats ignited the first civil war. Remember, the Democrats were the party of the Confederacy. They were the party of the South. They were the party of slavery. And after that, the party of Jim Crow. It was the Democrats that said, we're going to break this country up. And if it means a war, let it be a war. So they've already done this once. It's in their DNA to do it a second time. Now, I don't want to cross that bridge until we get to it for many, many reasons. Okay, many reasons. The biggest reason being, I'm telling you, there's another batch of polls that just came out this morning. Trump is on the path to an electoral college landslide, i.e. over 300 electoral college votes and more. He's ahead in Pennsylvania, and the early voting there is superb for Trump in Pennsylvania. He's ahead in Arizona. He's now shocking the Democrats early voting in Nevada. He's winning North Carolina. He's winning Georgia. And he's winning in Michigan and in Wisconsin. So, and now New Hampshire is clearly in play. Clearly in play. So, if he wins, if the popular vote is very close, or Trump slightly wins the popular vote, which I think is very plausible, and he wins the Electoral College, there's nothing they can do about it. Because the Republicans are going to flip the Senate, and they're going to keep their majority in the House. So then the Democrats are completely powerless. They can howl to the moon. They can take to the streets. They can rage if they want. They can riot. They can burn. They can loot. Then we arrest all of them like they did to the January 6ers and put all of them in jail for 20 years. And if these members of Congress want to block Trump from being certified, we can brand them as insurrectionists and put them in jail. So what I'm saying is, before we start talking about picking up a gun, let's go to the ballot box, let's go to the polls, and see if we can overwhelm the cheating and the fraud and make it too big to rig. As things stand right now, 4 days out, it looks like it's too big to rig. The difference this time, Stephen, unlike 2020, Kamala can flap her mouth. Biden can flap his mouth. They can all flap their mouths. In Virginia, for example, Glenn Youngkin took this all the way to the Supreme Court. He won this just a couple days ago. They found initially 6,000 non-citizens on the voter rolls in Virginia. They purged them. They found another 1,600 non-citizens on the voter rolls. The Democrats wanted to keep them on the rolls to allow these illegals to cheat. The Supreme Court, 6-3, said, "Niet." They got to get off the voting rolls. So we are starting to see now for the first time Republicans push back against all this election corruption and voting fraud. Virginia was a big victory for Trump, a big defeat for the Democrats. In Pennsylvania, they've extended early voting 3 days. 3 days. Because we caught them turning away Republicans at the polls and trying to prevent them from engaging in early voting. So what I'm saying is, now you're seeing massive pushback like we didn't see in 2020. We're catching them much more early than we did in 2020. And because so many of us are voting early, and this was why Trump and Elon kept saying this, if we wait to election day, when the Democrats do their shenanigans, it's too late. But if we vote early and they do their shenanigans, let's say like in Pennsylvania, we have days and days and days to put a spotlight on it, to complain about it, to go to court over it, to force them to relinquish. So far, yes, they're cheating. Yes, they're stealing. But it's not like numbers that we saw in 2020 so far. And that's why they're panicking. When their final argument is, you're a Nazi and your women are dumb and stupid, if this is your final argument, you're going to lose. And I know that they're petrified, because if you look at the liberal media, people within Kamala's camp are already finger pointing and pointing the blame at why she's going to lose. Nothing like this. In the Trump camp, it's supreme confidence. In the Kamala camp, they're already pointing fingers. Their campaign is in full disarray. Trump's campaign is like a well-oiled machine, and it is surging and popping at the exact perfect time. Now, look, I don't know what they have up their sleeve. I don't put anything beyond these people. These people are evil communists. They are. They're diabolical. They're evil. They're authoritarian thugs. And they're going to fight with everything that they have to keep Kamala in office and to block Trump. I hear you. But that discussion is now, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. We have an election to win. And all we should be talking about for 4 days is how we get as many people to the polls as possible. And Stephen, since you're calling me from New Hampshire, I am telling you, Kamala's people are petrified that New Hampshire will fall to Donald Trump. This time, unlike 2020, unlike 2016, we can make it too big to rig. New Hampshire is Trump country. And if everybody does their job and brings other people to the polls with them, we will take New Hampshire. And if we take New Hampshire, we're taking the election. Final word to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. And everything you said, I agree with, and everything about getting the vote out and making sure that we have an overwhelming victory, I agree with. The tripwire for me was the executive order, because I think I go along with you, and all of the rhetoric that has been coming out of Kamala's mouth, especially this thing about not being incumbent by what's been, that's directly from the communist manifesto about wiping out what's here so that they can go forward. And that combination is what troubled me the most. I have no desire to pick up arms. I've already done it in my life. I don't need to do it again. But the thing is, if we can do this, if the election comes through, it comes through the right way, and by law, everything gets done, so be it, God bless, and let's just move on and make the country put the country back where it's supposed to be. But like you said, I believe it. These people are evil, and they'll do anything they can to keep what they have, which is their power and everything that's hidden. So I'm hoping everything you said comes true. I'm going to work, with everybody to make sure it does. But man, it just troubles me that it's in the back of my mind.
Look, I can't sleep. Stephen, I'm telling you, really, I'm being really like I'm in the confessional. I'm bearing my soul to everybody. I'm not saying every night, that I'm sleepless, but I'm just saying that I ask Grace, she'll tell you. I can't stop thinking about the election, and I'm worried about what the Democrats are planning to do. And they always operate in the shadows, and we always find out about it afterwards. And I keep saying, are we missing something? Are we missing something? Are we missing something? So I put nothing past them. And you are, by the way, you're very perceptive. A lot of what she says comes straight from the Communist Manifesto. She is a clear Communist Democrat. Look, I can play you the cut. I don't want to waste everybody's time. AOC gave an interview. AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is a full-blown Marxist. And she and Bernie have both said, on the record, oh, no, she's just pretending to be a moderate. She's much more progressive. She's on our wavelength. No. That's what she really believes. She's just got to say stuff to get elected. So what they're saying is, you get Kamala, you're really getting AOC. You get Kamala, you're getting Bernie. You're getting the hammer and sickle. And communists are always violent. Never forget that. Communists always use revolutionary violence to achieve their ends. And that's why we're shocked. But in a way, as I said on X, I'm happy. It's disgusting. It's obscene. But now you know what they really think of us. You're garbage, man. I'm garbage. You serve this country. What have you done but serve and put your life on the line for this country as a veteran, work hard and pay taxes and raise your family? You're the backbone. I'm telling you, you're the backbone of this country. They should be thanking you. Instead, they hate you. They think you're a freak Nazi, that you're a Hitler lover. You're scum. You're garbage. You're a piece of garbage. So that's what they, look, the Nazis called the Jews vermin. They call us, basically Nazi pieces of garbage. Pretty much the same. We're both subhuman. So we know what they want. We know what they intend. If they have the power, we know exactly what they're going to do. And Stephen, I'm telling you, everybody, the Cubans, the Venezuelans, people whose ancestors came from Eastern Europe or the former Soviet Union, Stephen, we are the most fanatical, staunch pro-Trump supporters. We are the ones, I'm telling you, they're the most anti-Kamala Harris. Because every single one of us will tell you, we've seen the movie or our parents or grandparents. We've seen this movie. Like you Americans, not the critics, we love you. We love you. That's why we're here. That's why we're immigrants. We love you. But you've been blessed by God. You've never seen this movie. It's a foreign movie to you, not to us. So we know what's coming. And that's why we're saying vote like your life depends on it. Because I'm telling you, it does. So, Stephen, I want to thank you for your service. Look, I promise, they steal this election. Jeff Kuhner's not backing down. I'm not going to say anything more than that. So let's cross that bridge when we get to it or if we get to it. Let's just hope we can cut him off at the pass and get Trump in power and start fixing and restoring our country. Because the alternative, at this stage, I don't even want to contemplate it. Why? Because we're on track for a spectacular victory. So if we can do it peacefully, let's do it peacefully. Stephen, thank you again. God bless you. 617-266-6868 is the number. Christine in Somerville. Thanks for holding, Christine, and welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning.
Hi,
thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I'm calling today about something that you were speaking about on Monday, which was the Boston Trump campaign captain Brian Foley being attacked for carrying flags through Southie.
A Trump flag, yes. It was a Trump flag.
Yes, he was violently attacked. He has a shoulder injury, a concussion, and it's just really terrible what happened to him. I'm also a campaign captain, and so I just want to let Kuhner Country know that in response to this, the Massachusetts Trump campaign has decided to throw a massive rally in Boston to support Brian.
Excellent.
And it's going to be on this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the address is going to be...
Sorry, Christine, hold on. Just so this rally to show our support and solidarity for Brian Foley, who is a Trump supporter beaten to a pulp by a vicious pack of anti-Trumpers and pro-Kamala supporters. Really, they were a pack of animals. It's going to be this Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., correct?
Yes. And it's going to be at South Bay Center in Dorchester. The address is 8 Allstate Road, Allstate Road. And so we're asking all of Kuhner Country to please show up. This is the final big rally that the Massachusetts Trump campaign is doing. So we really want to make it the largest one that we've had so far. So we're asking everyone to please show up. Let's show Boston that Trumpers will not be intimidated. We love President Trump. We are not going to back down, and we are just ready to get out there and vote for President Trump on Tuesday. So we want to send a big message that we will not tolerate violence against us, and we love President Trump, and we're all going to go out and vote for him. So I'm urging everyone.
Christine, can you give the address again? You said it's 8 Allstate Road in Dorchester. Allstate, Allstate. Can you just give it one more time so the audience can, if they want to come, and I'm urging everybody, go if you can. We need to show our support for Trump, but especially for ourselves. Yes, it's about Brian Foley, but you could be Brian Foley. I could be Brian Foley. So very quickly, Christine, can you give the address again?
It's South Bay Center. It's a shopping plaza. So there's plenty of parking, easy on and off from the...
Excellent. South Bay Center, a lot of parking. It's a plaza. 8 Allstate Road in Dorchester, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. this Sunday. Christine, I wish you all the best. God bless you. 9:20 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay, let's go. I'm not making this up. Let's go to Cynthia in the ancestral homeland of Croatia. Cynthia in Croatia. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Hello, Jeff. I really am in Croatia, sitting on the side of a highway.
Wow.
This is the most...
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. This is the most beautiful country. I've been on the coast from Dubrovnik, and I'm going up to the very top of the Adriatic. This is the most beautiful country in the world. But what I've been doing is talking to the people, and they've all seen war. They've talked to me about the Second World War and what their grandparents went through and their fathers, all the way to, I think they call it the separation in the 90s.
Yeah, the Homeland War. Yeah, they call it the Homeland War.
Yeah.
The War of Independence.
They had ships bombing Split and Dubrovnik, and that was the Serbians, right?
Yes.
I think it was the Serbians that were attacking them. But they all want Trump. They love Trump. They know he will save the world. And it's 100% across the board. I've not met one person who is not for Trump. And they're like, you have to do it for us. You have to get Trump in. Like, I'm doing the best I can. But where are your people from?
Well, they're more from the east, in the farmland part of the country. But my father wanted to retire on the coast. And long story short, he built a house on an island off of Split. And the sad thing is my mother passed away. His goal was to retire, to eventually do like 6 months in Canada, 6 months in Croatia, and come back to his, that was his homeland. That's where he was born, before he had to flee as a refugee. But my mother died of cancer and he got struck with Parkinson's. So that dream went up in smoke. I feel very bad for him. But yeah, technically my family still has a home. Well, my father still has a home there. So, but we're from the eastern part of the country, which, by the way, saw some of the nastiest fighting during that war. Cynthia, where are you now, by the way?
Well, I'm on Highway E65. I'm nearing the top of the Adriatic, and I'm going to a town. I'm going to call it Opataja, which is where the Emperor of Australia. The Holy Roman Emperor.
The Holy Roman Emperor. Yes.
Yeah, where he built his summer home, and now it's, I guess, a celebrity wellness center.
That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of history. It dates back over 1,000 years. Croatia was under the Austro-Hungarian Empire for a very long time. So they had very strong connections to Austria and to Hungary. Cynthia, I'm just curious before I let you go, and I'm very happy that you called. Croatians are very anti-communist. They fear that Kamala is going to bring about a communist revolution in the United States. All my family there is telling me this. They're like, you Americans are crazy if you vote for Commie Kamala, as they call her. Are they telling you the same thing along the coast in Croatia?
Yes. Mostly everyone says, she lies. She lies all the time. I'm like, yeah. And they know so much more over there about politics, our politics, than in America. They saw them on the garbage can. It's just, I love the Croatian people. Not only are they gorgeous and tall, they're so smart and they love us and they truly love America. And they want really Trump back.
They really do. They're very pro-American.
There wouldn't be war. Well, they worry about the Ukrainian war because it's so close to them. And they knew that Trump kept putting at bay. So they're behind us. They wish they could vote. And I'm on my way to Zagreb tomorrow. So
you're going to love Zagreb. Oh, Cynthia, it's a mini Vienna. Trust me when I tell you this. You are going to love Zagreb. A lot of my family now is in Zagreb. It's the capital city. It is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Cynthia, thank you so much for calling in. You really made my day. Thank you, Cynthia. 617. And have a safe trip. Enjoy the rest of your trip. 617-266-6868. Speaking of my family, this is my sister, Arizona, with my nephews. And this is what she said. And she made a brilliant point. First she corrected the spelling of the city. It's called Opatia, which is where Cynthia is going. But this is what my sister wrote. Jeff, actually, it's literally the exact opposite. It's not Trump that wants to control women. It's Kamala and the Democrats who want to control men. They're the ones bullying men to vote for Kamala. Shameful. Jen, you're completely right. Huh? Jen, if you're listening, you ever think somebody from Croatia would call into the show? Huh? Daddy must be proud. 9:31 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Okay, many of you want to know how to vote on the ballot questions. We've got Paul Craney up from Mass Fiscal Alliance. He'll talk about all of these ballot questions. But first, joining me now, as she always does at this time, the CEO, president, co-founder of Kelly Financial Services. And yes, that is her wonderful name, Kelly Kelly. Kelly, how are you?
Good morning, Jeff. I am good. Elections can be confusing, and the policies proposed by the two presidential candidates couldn't be more different. Will your portfolio value increase if President Trump returns to the White House? And will inflation soar if Vice President Harris continues with Biden policies? Although you may be worried about the outcome of Election Day, the advisors at Kelly Financial will listen to your concerns and help you develop strategies aimed to safeguard your assets. There's still time to download our free investor guide called Election Uncertainty, with information about how presidential elections impact your retirement and how to protect your nest egg. For the guide or a free consultation with a Kelly advisor, give us a call or email kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Jeff, I will continue this conversation with our Kelly advisors tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Safe Money Strategies Radio. Do tune in or go to our website for our radio rewind. Jeff, have a wonderful weekend. My best to Grace and the kiddos.
Thank you. All the best to you and everyone at Kelly Financial. Have a great weekend, Kelly. If you want to make a call now, I urge all of you, free consultation, 888-800-1881. Call 888-800-1881, or you can actually email Kelly herself, kelly@kellyfinancial.org. That's kelly@kellyfinancial.org. Okay. On November 5th, Election Day, where many of you are going to be voting, there's not just the candidates you'll all be voting for. There are 5 ballot questions here in Massachusetts that you will have to choose from 1 until 5. And many of you have been saying, Jeff, 1, I kind of understand, but then what should we vote for on the second ballot question or on the third or the fourth or the fifth ballot question? Well, joining us now to help us make sense of all of this is Paul Craney from Mass Fiscal Alliance. We've had him on multiple times before. Paul, how are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me on this morning, Jeff.
So, Paul, I'm looking at your website right now, Mass Fiscal Alliance, and you are urging everybody on question 1, which is really about whether the state legislature should be audited every single year, open up their books to the voters and to the taxpayers. You are urging a strong vote yes on question 1. Why?
You're exactly right. And I'll keep it real easy for your audience. It's yes on 1, no on the rest. That's simple. Yes on 1 because Massachusetts has a broken legislative system. As we're speaking today, Jeff, the legislature has been trying to pass major bills, even though they are done for the year. They have recessed, and they're trying to pass bills without a roll call vote and without a majority of legislators in the State House. That's how broken we have. We have such a broken system that the public records law, the open meeting law, these are laws that apply to anyone that's listening who serves their town government as a volunteer on a board and commission. You have to follow these laws. But you know who doesn't? The Massachusetts legislature. They exempt themselves. We have a broken system in the State House, and we have a few more days left to try to do something about it, which is very simple. Vote yes on 1. We can bring some more transparency and hold them a little bit accountable by allowing the state auditor to audit them. Begs the question, Jeff, why is the Massachusetts legislature putting so much resistance to be auditing? Why isn't the mainstream media asking this question? Obviously, they're hiding something, and we want to know what they're hiding. But, Jeff, I also want to talk about question 2 with you and your audience.
Paul, if you can just do me one favor, just quickly. I completely agree with you on question 1. And to me, I think it's obvious. It's the waste. It's the fraud, it's the corruption, and that's what they're trying to cover up. So I'm with you all the way. Vote yes on question 1. Now, very quickly, Paul, question 3, don't force Uber drivers to unionize. And you're saying vote no. I agree with you. I think it's going to lead to much worse customer service. It's going to add a lot more red tape. It's already these drivers, as you point out, make $32.50 per hour. They've got yearly increases. This is a naked union power grab, and I'm with you all the way. So no on question 3. The legalization of psychedelic drugs, like mushrooms and stuff like that, you're urging a no. I'm with you 1,000%. The last thing we need now are more people stoned in Massachusetts, stoned at work, stoned on the road. God knows what they're seeing in their mind when they're on these psychedelics. I think this is going to be a disaster. So vote no on the legalization of psychedelics. Finally, tips for wait staff. Vote no. And I agree with you. What's going to happen if they pass this, if this is a yes, it is going to destroy the restaurant business. They want to raise the wages of these waiters and staff, and it's going to lead to much lower tips. A lot of the wait staff and restaurant owners are against this. They're a no on this. It's going to kill the restaurant business. People who work in the restaurant business are urging everybody to vote no. I'm voting no. The only one, Paul, that I think you're going to get a lot of pushback from conservatives is on question 2. And question 2 is to keep the MCAS, the standardized testing for those that want to graduate high school, as a graduation requirement. Now, you're saying no, you want to keep the MCAS, correct?
That's correct. We want to keep it. We want people to vote no on question 2.
Okay, why?
Simple. Jeff, I've been on your show for many years. You and I spoke 2 years ago when we're talking about ballot question number 4, giving driver's license to illegals. That passed. And since then, what else has happened? The right to shelter law has been abused. So now we're the only state in the country where anyone in the world can come to Massachusetts and get whatever they want for right to shelter, and all the other tax benefits that go along with it. Since we spoke 2 years ago, they also made community college free for legal immigrants and inadmissible migrants. Mark my words, taking away one standardized test for graduation will open the door to make Massachusetts a right to diploma state. If you think back 30 years ago, when Governor Dukakis made Massachusetts a right to shelter law, we didn't have an open southern border. What they're trying to do is have the last domino fall to make Massachusetts a right to diploma state where anyone in the world or in the country can come here, have their kids go through the school, not have to worry about a standardized test, graduate, then go to taxpayer-funded community college and all the other benefits. This will contribute to make Massachusetts a magnet state for all the world's immigrants. This is just the dumbing down of our standards, and this will be just one more domino fall. So I'm really encouraging your audience and like-minded people, vote no on 2. We need one standardized test for people who graduate from high school. And this is the left's attempt, being pushed by the teachers union, to take away this one exam so that Massachusetts can continue to be a magnet state for the world's immigrants, illegal immigrants, and inadmissible migrants.
Paul, what do you say to the argument? Many conservatives are making this argument. Governor Maura Healey is urging a no on question 2. She's with you on this. The Boston Globe is strongly urging a no on question 2, that they're with you on this. And their argument is that graduation requirements, this is what conservatives are now arguing, should be decided, they say, by local city or town school committees and superintendents, not by the state. That this is giving the state too much power. Devolve it to local towns, cities, or school committees. And the fact that you have Healy and the Globe on your side on this says that Paul Craney, this is what some conservatives are saying, you're not the real conservative on this. They are. What say you?
Well, I mean, the Globe and Healy are also against question 5 and question 4, which is they don't want those mushrooms to be sold and they don't want to ruin the restaurant industry. So, 3 of these questions, they're right. They're with us on this issue. But ultimately, what I'm thinking about is what's happening in Massachusetts as we speak. You know it just as much as anyone else knows it, that we have an open southern border. And we are the only state with the right to shelter. We're one of the few states that now gives away driver's license for illegal immigrants. We have free community college for illegal immigrants. Soon we're going to have free UMass and state college for illegal immigrants. This is one of the MTA's last hurdles they're trying to knock out, which is they want to get rid of this one test so that they can immediately graduate these students who probably couldn't pass the MCAS scores anyways. And this will become a full-blown magnet state for migrants. I'm looking at it in that prism. Others can look at it other ways. That's what I'm worried about.
No,
we need to
I
have
hear
one
you. No,
standardized test.
Paul, you always, honestly, very intelligent, very coherent, a lot of evidence and facts to back up your argument. I'm urging everybody, go to massfiscal.org, massfiscal.org, and they're urging yes on question 1, no on everything else. Paul, thank you as always. 9:48 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. You know, Sandy and Mike made a really good point to me when we were off air. They're like, Jeff, so what are we now? Like, we just can't get Kamala Harris straight anymore. Or Joe Biden. Are we Nazis? Are we garbage? Or are we Nazi garbage? Like, can you just pick one? You know? So, anyway, they're panicking. This is all panic. And you know why it's panic? Because when they called us garbage and Trump went up to Wisconsin and pulled off that magnificent marketing public relations stunt, it was a coup. They realize now this thing could be over. And to show you just how well it worked, I want you to listen to this. This is so funny. This is an actual sanitation worker, okay? As they call, quote, a garbage man. A sanitation worker. Listen now to what he said about Trump and the Trump garbage truck that he took to the rally. Roll cut 100, Mike.
I got to say, it was an honor and a privilege to drive Garbage Force One. President Trump is just a normal, everyday guy. He hopped in, no problem. He looked at me. He said, give me one of these right here. And we don't have one of these. We have one of those. So I honked a couple times, and he laughed. He said, how about we take this bad boy through McDonald's? And I said, sir, I don't think she'll fit in the drive-thru. He said, it's all right. I used to work there. And he turned to me and he said something, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it. He said, this is really sticking it to Joe Biden. I said, yes, sir, it is.
Garbage truck 1. This is what do you call it again? Truck Force 1? Is that what he called it? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Garbage Force 1. Garbage Force 1. This guy's funny. He's the guy that drove the truck. You know, Trump was in the passenger seat. I mean, this. He's going to get the working class vote. He's going to win Wisconsin. He's going to win the Midwest. He's going to win the battleground states. And that's why what you're watching now is the biggest freakout and meltdown, I think, in American campaign history. Mike in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mike, and welcome. Mike? We lost Mike. All right. Who do you want me to go to next? Mike. Lorenzo in South Boston. Thanks for holding, Lorenzo, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing? Thanks for taking the call.
My pleasure, Lorenzo.
Hey, Jeff, you know, look what's going on. First of all, I think it's going to be too big to rig. I think Trump is going to win. I am worried about all the cheating. And Mark Cuban, he's just a maggot. Look at the great people Trump puts himself with. Terry Lake, he's backing her, and the people that are in his administration. These conservative women, even just in the street talking to conservative women, they're great. They're tough as nails. These are, so Mark Cuban, he's a maggot. Did you see the thing in Kentucky with the voting machine, how they show it putting it in and spitting it up Harris?
Well, I talked about that on X last night, Lorenzo, and I'm happy you mentioned it. For example, in Kentucky, I don't know if you've seen this, there are now many reports, and they've got it again on video. I mean, there's no disputing this, where you got people saying, look, here, I'm pressing the button for Trump, and it automatically shifts the pick to Kamala Harris. And they, okay, well, then they say, okay, reset it. All right, try it again. Okay, I'm voting for Trump. Bang, you press the button. It automatically shifts the vote being registered to Harris. And it's happening again and again and again. And by the way, notice, Lorenzo, it's never the other way. So what I said last night was, A, Kentucky, what are you going to do about this? Because you had a major problem now. And B, for God's sake, isn't it time to go back to paper ballots once and for all? Lorenzo, am I wrong?
No, you're 100%. 100% right, Jeff. That's what, and that's all part of the voting rigging, the voter fraud. You know, they're similar, but they're not. You know, when you get clowns like Sean Hannity, I know Sean Hannity wants Trump to win, but he's an establishment guy now. He's not the same guy he was in '94.
Oh, there's no question. Well, look, that's what happens, Lorenzo. When you take the money, you know, and you laugh all the way to the bank, they own you. You have to toe the corporate line. And that's, they buy you. I mean, you make your 15, 20 million a year, but essentially they buy you. And I'm sorry, my soul is not for sale. You know, I mean, I'm just being brutally honest with you. I'm not for sale, never have been, and I give you my word, I never will be. Katie in Newton. Thanks for holding, Katie, and welcome.
Thanks for taking my call, Jeff.
My pleasure, Katie.
Thank you. I was calling about President Trump's comments about protecting women.
Yes.
And I just am so struck. Year after year, the only issue that Democrats run on, since I can't run on their record of successful policies clearly, is, quote, choice and bodily autonomy, which is really rich. Because I'm sure I'm not the only person listening right now, the only woman listening right now who lost their job as a result of making their own choice regarding bodily autonomy. And it was Kamala's administration that unlawfully required employees in the private sector to take an experimental emergency use only authorization vaccine. Trump, on the other hand, has vowed his administration will deny federal funding to those who seek to unlawfully mandate vaccines or masks. So, you know, and by the way, the abortion issue being returned to the states puts it closer to women because we have a majority of women voters by like 10% in probably every state. So I'm struck by how few people point out that logical fallacy, you know.
You are, Katie, you want to talk about an absolutely perfect way to end the show. This is you've delivered the checkmate argument. The ones who are lecturing us about freedom and freedom of choice and bodily autonomy were the exact same ones who forced, as you put it, this experimental jab onto tens and tens of millions of Americans, and many like you lost their jobs in the private sector. And by the way, which we now know for at least a certain group of people, has had severe adverse effects. So they have no business, no right to lecture us on control over one's body. And just that, you know, to add a cherry to the sundae, Trump is the one that said, hey, I'm giving all of you, especially women, but everybody, the voters, you decide in your states and through your state legislatures in elections what kind of abortion policy you want. I gotta go. Bye-bye.